Hello everyone and welcome back to my mind. Thank you for coming back and watching this second video. So today on my mind, I want to go into a little bit more in depth about the obsession part of OCD. I talked a lot about the biological side of OCD and why it happens. So just a quick review is that the serotonin in your brain, the chemical that's needed for functioning and optimal functioning, cannot get to certain parts of your brain that are there. So it's a roadblock. Remember the car example, and it's just stuck and the honking, and the more it gets stuck, the more you have to figure out a way to like relax. So that's the biological part. And I find that part really, I guess, comforting. For me, when I first found out that OCD wasn't made up, I guess, for lack of better words, it was real. It was helpful and comforting because I knew that there was actually something off up there, and I don't want to say wrong, but there's like a chemical imbalance that's causing these thoughts to get jammed up, and for me to get really crazy about stuff. And it was helpful because honestly, like, I'm gonna be super real with you guys, I used to think I was fucking crazy. Like, I did not understand why I would walk into a store and picture myself getting stabbed. I did not understand why I would read a book and one specific word would trigger the thought of a gun going into my mom or dad's head. I know this is super violent, but like, those are the things like would happen constantly, like 75% of the day, and I just like didn't understand. I would get so upset. I would get pissed. I would cry. I'd try to figure it out. I'd try to stop it, you know. And it's like, to know there really is a biological predisposition was super helpful. So just know that part is very important to know. Just know that part is very important to know. Just know that that part is very important because it is real. What you're going through is real. So the person that you love has something chemically imbalanced in their brain. But on that other note, I want to explain not the serotonin and why that happens, but I want to explain the actual obsession and how it comes to be and why we have obsession. So the disorder is obsessive and compulsive disorder. You don't just need to line things up and, okay, I feel good. You don't just need to take off your shoes at the front door so you don't get things dirty. That's not what a true obsessive compulsive symptom is. So when I say the word obsession, I want you to understand that it's a fear. So an obsession is what you're afraid of, and then it's also what you fear will happen. So there's two parts to an obsession, but to really understand the obsession, you have to know that you're afraid of something, and those things that you can be afraid of range from: you're afraid of hurting yourself, like you're afraid of hurting someone else, you're afraid of being hurt, you're afraid of what something means. I mean, when I say what something means, I mean, if there's a sign that says stop, do not enter, you may have a really bizarre fear of what that means. You're afraid of forgetting, you're afraid of losing stuff, you're afraid of imperfection, you're afraid of constant images and thoughts. There's so many things that the obsession can mean in the sense of fear that it's really important to know and identify within yourself what you're fearing. So for example, for me, I had, and I'm going to explain my earliest memories later on in another video, but I constantly was afraid of my mom dying, and that is something that I obsessed over. That was the roadblock for me. I had other little ones like fear of contamination, fear of not understanding someone if I didn't, but the thing is like mine surrounded by the fear of my mom dying. And so that was what I experienced. Some people might have a fear of running over their cat in the street, and everything they do in their life is surrounded by running over the cat in the street. Okay, so just understand that everybody's is different. I just want to do a little visualization thing that helped me understand myself when I was learning about OCD, and it might help you understand someone else or whoever that may be. Okay, so I want you, and I read about this, I didn't make this up myself, but it's super helpful to visualize this. So visualize yourself in a room, okay? You're alone in your room, doesn't matter which room, and you have a thought come in your head about a loved one. For this example, we're gonna use your sister. Is your sister alive? You have that thought. Is my sister alive? So my question to you guys is, how do you know your sister's alive? Well, you could say back to me, I just talked to her 10 minutes ago, so obviously she's alive. But like, in reality, anything can happen in 10 minutes, right? She could have gotten in a car accident and died. But even though you know the probability of that is probably low, even though you know that's even a possibility, you're still fine, because you just don't need to feel anxious about it, because you don't have obsessive compulsive disorder. And when I say that, I'm explaining that someone with OCD who has this specific fear, and remember, this is just an example and a visualization, they will do anything in their power to make sure that their sister's alive. Within 5 to 10 to 20 minutes, they will call her, text her, write down 10 times, my sister is alive. They will think in their head 10 times, my sister is alive. They will get on Instagram, check her old messages because there was a message 5 seconds ago. Like, anything you can imagine, they'll do to make sure their sister's alive. So that's just a little visualization. Is, if you have these thoughts, does your anxiety spike to no other? Or are you able to just sit there knowing the probability is, yeah, they might have died, but I'm not gonna like worry about that, because why would I worry about that? So with obsessive thoughts, you have an obsessive thought and it spikes. It goes up, it's spiking. Then your anxiety is spiking on top of that, because you keep thinking that. So your anxiety is like literally up to here now. And the only way you can relax your anxiety and to feel better again is if you do something, you say something, you feel something, you sit a certain way, you say something in your mind, and then that anxiety comes back down. So all the obsession is surrounded by a fear. If you have a fear of something, it's generally an irrational fear, but to understand and to really like dial into the fear is what, for me, became helpful. So my next video, like I said, I'm going to talk I'm going to get more personal and talk about my earliest memories of OCD and when I started to feel it and why I started to feel it. For now, I'm going to just let you digest the obsession part of it, and we'll get back to it soon. Thank you guys. I appreciate you all. Once again, leave comments, questions if you have any, and I'd be happy to answer them. Have a nice day. Bye.